Early knockout, or are you just gonna let it come naturally?
I'm gonna let it come naturally. You know, again, with a power puncher, you can't just force things. You run into a good shot. So for me, I'm gonna, be on my top P's and Q's and handle.
Forget about how calm the press conference was. Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero have bigger plans for boxing fans.
Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia would be an amazing fight. Me and Ryan sparred way back when. We sparred twice, and there's always it's gonna be.
You should never expect decorum when two masters of trash talk collide, and that's exactly what Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero have brought to boxing fans. They've reignited an 8-year rivalry fueled by intensity and the hunger for redemption. Both fighters are seeking a comeback from setbacks they faced early last year. For Ryan Garcia, he secured a victory, but that triumph was quickly overshadowed by an unfortunate ban from the sport.
Any rush coming into this fight?
Now, for me, it's all about getting in the gym, timing everything. I feel like I have enough time to get it back. Of course, a 1.5-year layoff sucks.
This time, Ryan Garcia is determined to rewrite the narrative around his name and prove to the world that he can secure a big win without the shadow of performance-enhancing drugs. With a potential rematch against his longtime rival, Devin Haney, on the horizon, his hunger for this fight is fueled by redemption and legacy. For Rolly Romero, last year brought its own setbacks. Around this time, he failed to defend a title he had won in one of the most controversial ways, leaving his reputation hanging in the balance. Now, he's just as desperate to reclaim his place in the sport.
The thing with me and Ryan is, I done ended that beef long ago. Because I'll tell you guys all something.
In his first title defense against Isaac Cruz, Rolly Romero suffered an 8th-round knockout defeat. Although he managed to rebound with a win over Manuel James, the comeback did little to impress boxing fans, especially since his opponent was unranked and had recently been dominated by Abdullah Mason. Now, Romero is chasing a statement victory, one that will finally convince the boxing world that he belongs at the top. Meanwhile, Ryan Garcia is determined to prove that this is a new chapter in his career. As one of the most popular fighters in boxing, Garcia endured a tumultuous 2024, filled with highs and lows that tested his resilience.
And while everyone over there bullying and pandering, the mother was the only one that defended him. Throughout all the fucking bullshit, who's the only one that
Garcia received a 1-year suspension for the infraction and is now set to make his return on May 2nd, headlining a massive boxing event against Rolly Romero. The highly anticipated showdown will take place in Times Square, New York City. Recently, Garcia took part in the first press conference for the Fatal Fury event, where he made it clear that this time, there would be no antics from him. "I want to be great," Garcia stated. "I've always wanted to fight the best fighters in the sport. As for my problems outside the ring, I've always had those problems. I don't know who else struggles with stuff like that, but that's just something I was dealing with."
That fight will sell out. I know that fight will sell out. That's one of those mega fights that me and Ryan. That's a fight I'm definitely interested in.
"I just want to show everybody that you can come back from anything," Garcia continued. "I want to prove my dedication to the sport and be a true professional. I admit my mistakes, and I don't want anyone to look at my actions, drinking and smoking before a fight, and think that's how a professional should handle themselves. I came here to change that. This is my first fight to earn back respect and prove that my success wasn't a fluke, and I'm ready to do it." Adding even more intrigue to the night, Garcia's longtime rival, Devin Haney, will also be fighting on the same card, facing Jose Ramirez in the co-main event. Both fighters have openly acknowledged that if they win their respective bouts, a long-awaited rematch of their now no contest will take place later this year.
I know there's been a lot of back and forth between you and Ryan Garcia. What are your thoughts, and what message would you send him right now, brother?
I have no thoughts about him.
Ryan Garcia returns to the ring after a year-long ban, and expectations will be high for him to deliver, especially following his last performance, despite the controversy surrounding it. Garcia has not fought since his clash with Devin Haney, where he dropped Haney 3 times in a shocking decision win. However, that victory was later overturned and ruled a no contest after Garcia tested positive for a banned substance. April was a turbulent month for Garcia, with several incidents raising concerns about his mental state. He badly missed weight for the fight, and even chugged a beer during the final face-off with Haney. Despite the chaos, Garcia put on a sensational performance, pulling off what many considered an upset, only for the result to be wiped away due to his failed drug test.
He's not a boxer, so who gives a about him? Of course, thank you.
With Haney also competing on this unique card, the stakes are even higher. The winner of Garcia versus Romero, especially if it's the star attraction, Ryan Garcia will likely move on to face the victor of Haney versus Ramirez. A potential rematch between Haney and Garcia in Saudi Arabia this October would generate massive interest. Las Vegas native Rolly Romero boasts an impressive 81% knockout ratio, but the big question is whether he has the power to trouble Garcia as he moves up to a third weight class. At 29, Romero has lost 2 of his last 4 fights, both by stoppage, first to Isaac Cruz and earlier to Gervonta Davis. Meanwhile, Garcia, 26, from Los Angeles, also suffered a knockout loss to Davis 2 years ago. With Garcia's lightning-fast hands and explosive power, this matchup has all the ingredients to steal the show.
Trying to see where he was guiding me, and he just led me to Dallas, led me to Derek, and I pursued it, and I'm here now, and I feel good. I feel,
It's unclear whether other fighters were available to step in, but the 140 Lela B division is stacked with talent, and many fans would have preferred to see someone else in this spot. Rolly Romero is far from an ideal opponent for Ryan Garcia, especially considering that he was knocked out by Pitbull Cruz in the 8th round last year on March 30th. Romero, to many, is seen as a bargain basement fighter with limited ability, one who arguably doesn't belong in the main event of Turki Alalshik's card on May 2nd against a superstar like Garcia. However, he did manage to bounce back from that loss, defeating Manuel James by a 10-round unanimous decision on September 14th, fighting on the undercard of Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Berlanga.
What I care about right now is Ryan Garcia. And then the winner between that and me and Ryan gets Gervonta Davis. We're going to do this all on pay-per-view, on Showtime pay-per-view. We're going to do this shit, all right? Like I said, at the end of it, I got the belt.
Rolly didn't perform well in that fight either, but with a harmless opponent, he managed to get the win. Choosing Romero as Ryan Garcia's opponent, especially as a headliner on a DAZN pay-per-view, is a questionable decision. It's clear this is a tune-up fight for Garcia, so he can be given some leeway in that regard. But it's still unfair to fans to have a fighter with a 2-2 record in his last 4 fights as the B-side of a major PPV event. In reality, Romero's record should be 1-3 in his last 4 bouts, as his controversial win over Ismael Barroso was widely criticized. Referee Tony Weeks stopped the fight in the 9th round of their clash on May 13, 2023, despite Barroso still fighting back, leaving many fans outraged.
I want to tell everybody, just thank you for coming out, and honestly,
Romero had thrown 4 wild punches, missing all of them badly when Tony Weeks suddenly waved off the fight. Barroso was unhurt, standing there in disbelief, looking at Weeks as if to say, "What are you doing?" Fans were stunned by the stoppage, and the controversy surrounding it lingered for months. At the time, Romero was trailing on the scorecards and seemed to be on his way to losing the fight. Given the deep talent pool in the 140 and 147-pound divisions, there were plenty of contenders in the top 15 rankings far more deserving of a fight against Ryan Garcia on May 2nd than Rolly Romero.
You did take more punches than you thought you would, so what went wrong during this fight? It's okay.
It seems like the priority was simply finding a body to fill the opponent slot, and Romero fit the bill. Given that this is a pay-per-view event, a better matchup would have been Ryan Garcia versus Jose Ramirez in the main event, with Romero facing Haney in the co-feature. Even in that spot, Romero doesn't truly belong, but considering Haney is coming off a fight where he was dropped 3 times, he could use a softer touch like Romero to avoid another setback. However, if the goal is to make sure Ryan doesn't take a loss ahead of his anticipated rematch with Haney in October, then Romero is the perfect opponent for the job.
It's like his family, like it's a bond. So I'm hungry, man. That's why I'm here every day training. I didn't even know this was happening, but I came to train with Derek, and like I said, it's a blessing.
Rolly, I'm going to let you know through this tweet, and I hope you truly understand I'm not taking you lightly at all. I'm coming in with some real freaking anger, and I'm sorry it has to be you. You can say all the funny, idiotic stuff you want on Tuesday, but if you cross the line, I swear I'll slap the hell out of you. I promise you, he added. You're here to be freaking funny, that's it. Being funny is what got you here, so don't change course. Grandpa had you fighting for your life, and Pitbull had you looking for Easter eggs in the ring. And I'll have you laying your gloves down in the ring like an MMA fighter retiring.
It's like it's family, like it's a bond. So I'm hungry, man. That's why I'm here every day training. I didn't even know this was happening, but I came to train with Derek, and like I said, it's a blessing.
Ryan Garcia faced Devin Haney in April 2024, scoring 3 knockdowns on his way to a decision victory. However, after testing positive for Ostarine, the result was overturned to a no contest, and Garcia was handed a 1-year forced suspension, which officially ends on April 20th. Meanwhile, Rolly Romero has claimed that talks of a fight between him and Garcia have been going on for 8 years. Now with the fight finally set, both fighters have embraced it with the kind of intensity fans were expecting.
Last question. Final message to Ryan Garcia before y'all fight.
No Vaseline.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Rolly Romero kicked off the war of words, and as expected, Ryan Garcia has taken it even further. Romero is a fearless, hard-hitting fighter who brings serious power to every opponent he faces. His aggressive style has won over many boxing fans in recent years, but he faces a tough challenge next going up against boxing superstar Ryan Garcia. Speaking to Fight Hype, Romero acknowledged the history behind this matchup. With Ryan? Yeah, man, it's long overdue, for sure. Honestly, it kind of came out of nowhere.
I'm asking you about this, right? We sparred in 2013, March 2013, right?
One day, Ryan's walking around talking about fighting Isaac Cruz and all that. And the next day, I wake up, and it's Ryan Garcia versus Rolando Romero. I guess Ryan didn't really know what was going on. Both fighters are natural showmen, and they'll be gunning for each other in the press as much as in the ring. Neither of them are introverts, so expect them to promote the hell out of this fight. The mind games are about to begin, and this one promises to be a spectacle both inside and outside the ring. People tend to forget that Garcia is coming off a long layoff due to his suspension. He needs to take this fight seriously and deliver an impressive performance, or he could get caught slipping if he's not fully prepared. Romero may not be the most skilled fighter, but he's no pushover. Both men know each other well enough, and that familiarity adds another layer of intrigue to this matchup.
4 months. At the time, he's 4 years older than me, right? So that means he's 21, I was 17, right? He's going hard on me, right? Also, after I stopped his little brother, right? To claim that he's...
The trash talk is already in full swing, with Garcia taking shots at Romero on XX, saying, "Not surprised at Pitbull pulling out, but we get to fight some dog."
Food in Rolly.
Expect this back and forth to heat up in the coming weeks as these two outspoken American fighters build up the hype. As for the fight itself, it promises to be an exciting one. Both bring speed and power, which should make for an action-packed showdown. Romero is almost always in entertaining fights, and the same goes for Garcia. Their contrasting styles could blend well in the ring, setting the stage for an explosive matchup.
Yeah. So you Pitbull in New York, Times Square, right?
Times Square, yes.
Nice, man. What, I guess curious, how does the fight go in your opinion? I know you guys have been circling each other for...
Ryan Garcia kicked off the war of words by stating that he plans to fight Isaac Cruz next, after making his return in May, following the conclusion of his boxing ban. However, he cannot afford to overlook Rolando Romero, who has only 2 career losses. Romero's first defeat came at the hands of Gervonta "Tank" Davis, who also knocked out Garcia. His second loss was against Isaac "Pitbull" Cruz, a setback that significantly derailed his career. While Romero's stock has taken a hit, he remains a dangerous opponent, and Garcia will need to stay focused to avoid any surprises.
Are you gonna walk around the whole fucking shit?
I know. But yeah, I mean, this is a fight that I feel like the fans wanted for a long time until he lost. So
Garcia knows he's in for a tough fight, as Rolly Romero is also known for his knockout power. However, unlike Isaac Pitbull Cruz, who has drawn comparisons to Mike Tyson for his durability, Romero's chin isn't nearly as solid. Garcia will be looking to remind fans that he, too, is a knockout artist, with his devastating left hook as his primary weapon. If Romero fights too aggressively in pursuit of a stoppage, he could give Garcia a bigger target to exploit. This fight also serves another purpose for Garcia. It helps shake off any ring rust from his time away and prepares him for a potential rematch with Devin Haney later this year.
got a lot of things ahead, but fight-wise, I either want to fight the 154-pound champion, Sebastian Fundora, or I want to fight Isaac Cruz.
Yes, in May, we're going to be fighting there. It'll be good, another big fight. I'm ready to do it. Rolly Romero is still a great fighter. He may have lost a couple of times, but fans love him. He's a big dude. Garcia acknowledged the growing buzz around the fight and the boxing scene in general. There were so many people in London meeting with Turkey, it's nuts. The Garcia versus Romero fight is part of a massive Times Square triple header, adding even more excitement to an evolving boxing landscape. With talks of a new boxing league involving UFC boss Dana White, the parent company of UFC and WWE, and major fights like Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano 3 Kraus headlining on Netflix this summer, the sport is heading into a new era of spectacle and big business moves.
He hasn't really made that many adjustments, to be honest. Still making a lot of the same mistakes, still kind of fighting the same. His chin actually looks like it's gone.
However, when the WBA released its most recent rankings update, both Garcia and Romero found themselves unexpectedly positioned at number 2 and number 3 in the welterweight division, despite neither being ranked at 147 lbs just a month prior. Romero, in particular, wasn't rated anywhere near that high at 140 lbs either. As of January, the WBA had him listed as the number 8 junior welterweight, a reasonable placement, considering he lost the WBA title to Isaac Cruz in March 2024. Since then, his only fight was a unanimous decision win over the unranked Manuel James in September. Garcia, on the other hand, had been completely absent from the WBA rankings for the past year due to his suspension. The last time he was ranked was in January 2024, when he held the number 4 spot at junior welterweight. Once Garcia signed on to challenge Devin Haney for the WBC title, the WBA removed him from its rankings. His continued absence was likely a consequence of his suspension after testing positive for a performance-enhancing drug following his overturned win over Haney in April 2024. Now, Garcia and Romero are back in the WBA's rankings and ranked surprisingly high. But in boxing, this kind of maneuvering isn't exactly shocking. The WBA, like other sanctioning bodies, has a long history of controversial decisions, and this is just another example of that. If the winner of Garcia versus Romero goes on to face the winner of the co-main event between Haney and Jose Ramirez, or even the undercard winner between Teofimo Lopez and Arnold Barboza, the WBA stands to make over $1 million just by throwing another unnecessary belt into the mix. That figure doesn't even account for the additional fees and expenses the WBA demands from fighters, promoters, and managers. The sport doesn't need these extra belts, and this fight certainly doesn't need a meaningless trinket to grab our attention. But the WBA continues to survive and profit because of them. Gervonta Tank Davis, who recently fought to a draw with Lamont Roach last weekend, has shared the ring with both Garcia and Romero. Naturally, he weighed in on who hits harder. Back in 2022, Davis maintained his unbeaten record by stopping Romero in the 6th round of their New York showdown. Now, with Garcia and Romero set to clash, His insight into their power could add another layer of intrigue to the fight. The following year, and just 2 fights later, Davis secured another high-profile victory, this time against Ryan Garcia. In one of the biggest boxing events of the year, Davis stopped Garcia with a brutal body shot, cementing his status as one of the sport's most dangerous finishers. Now, Garcia and Romero are set to collide in a massive showdown at New York's Times Square. A victory for Garcia would set the stage for a highly anticipated rematch with Devin Haney, who is also fighting on the same card. Heading into the bout, Garcia is considered the clear favorite. However, when asked who the harder puncher was between Garcia and Romero, Davis didn't hesitate with his answer. "I ain't going to lie, Rolly hits hard. People have been sleeping on Rolly," Davis told Fight Hype.
How are you gonna compare Cruz to a puncher like me? One, I'm bigger than both of them. In this fight, he's not looking.
He ain't. Got no chin on him, so Rolly is getting caught, Davis continued. But Rye can hit, bro. Like, he can hit. He's the only person that I felt like when he swung. It felt like bricks were in his gloves. If all goes as planned, a win for both Ryan. Garcia and Devin Haney in May will set the stage for a highly anticipated rematch later this year. Their first bout, which took place last April, was surrounded by controversy. Initially, the fight was meant to be a defense of Haney's WBC super lightweight world title. However, Garcia came in 3 pounds over the weight limit, making him ineligible to win the belt. Despite this, both fighters agreed to move forward with the bout, and Garcia shocked the boxing world by dropping Haney 3 times en route to a decision victory. But the celebration was short-lived. Garcia's win was overturned to a no contest after it was revealed that he had twice tested positive for a banned substance during fight week.
He does the same shit over and over and over again. One over here, gets punched over here, gets punched over here. Happy Easter.
With his year-long suspension ending next month, Ryan Garcia is set to return to the ring against Rolly Romero on May 2nd. The event also features Devin Haney's first fight back since his bruising battle with Jose Ramirez. However, securing a rematch between Garcia and Haney isn't just about winning their respective fights. There's also legal drama in the mix. Garcia recently told the media that Haney must first put an end to any ongoing legal disputes if he wants the rematch to happen. "I said I'm not going to give you a rematch unless you drop that lawsuit," Garcia stated. "So we've got to see if they hold to their word." If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss our latest updates.